Thank you, everyone, and thank you to all of you for being here. That was an electric dance performance. And I know Jeff from my previous life. You're kind of funny too, so that was good. Well, good evening, and thank you all for being here. I've made a small note here, and it's going to take the torch of happiness from Dr. Goel. I'm going to speak a little bit about happiness, so bear with me as I go through this rendition. But my wife, Swapna, and I have a 12-year-old boy and twin girls who are 8. I apologize on behalf of my wife. She couldn't make it here. Busy with her 3 kids. Their homework for tomorrow, and she's busy laying the foundation for their excellence as well. So I want to thank Abha and Venk for really introducing me to this great cause here, the Foundation for Excellence. And thank you, Sudha, Prarthana, and Ram for really making it possible for me to talk about stories. So I'm going to speak a story of happiness. For a lot of the kids that I actually met with, I Zoomed with when I was in India, I promised Sudha I'll go back to FFE's office when I go next time to Bangalore. I visit there 4 times a year now because of my new company. But it was really, the happiness was palpable talking to these folks out there as well. So I wanted to start out just defining happiness. What's happiness? I did some research, and by the way, this is one of my favorite articles I read in the last several years. And I made a little note. I typically, compile these albums of pictures, screenshots, and things that I actually just keep in my album. So the other day I was going through my most quotable quotes, and one of them that actually stuck out was about happiness. So what's happiness? Sonia Lyubomirsky, a professor of psychology at the University of California, Riverside, she's a happiness researcher and author, suggests thinking of happiness as being both happy in your life and being happy with your life. Being happy in your life is the experience of fairly frequent positive emotions like tranquility, joy, curiosity, pride, affection, etc. Happiness with your life is feeling an overall sense of satisfaction, that your life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. Happiness isn't gratification, although we tend to equate them, said Christine Carter, author of The New Adolescence, and senior fellow at Greater Good Science Center at the University of California, Berkeley. And she quotes, in our culture, we are wildly confused about the difference between something that is gratifying or pleasurable and something that will actually foster a positive emotion, which is what Dr. Goel was talking about, like happiness. She said, pleasure is fleeting. Positive emotions, on the other hand, persist, reversing our fight or flight response and activating a part of the brain that doesn't leave us wanting more. Fostering positive emotions like gratitude is going to create a lasting sense of well-being. This gathering today is not about being happy with life, which all of us probably are, given that we are here after a long and tenuous journey with learning, competing, immigrating, marrying, founding, parenting, caring, and finally learning and competing again for our children's sake. This gala is about relaxing, about walking barefoot, about cloud gazing, about dreaming, about finding what would make us happy in life, fostering positive emotions like gratitude or giving. It's about learning to give as parents, so your children, our children, also learn to not just be happy with life, but also become happy in life. The dopamine of a new Tesla, a new iPhone, a new TikTok video, several likes on Instagram is fleeting. The joy of teaching your children what it means to give is pure oxytocin. This dinner is about that pride, that affection of relating to those who were not your family to begin with, but will become one with your mindfulness in your abundant life that you are happy with. Of course, giving is also not about spraying and praying, as we say in the Silicon Valley. It's about going deep with a few noble causes. My wife Swapna and I have gone deep with oncology, biology, life sciences, and healthcare. After all, we also got a lot from the people around us, our extended family, and also folks that I never knew when I met them first. Folks at IIT Kanpur, the Jain Tata Endowment Fund, the KC Mahindra Education Trust, and finally, University of Texas, Austin. They all helped shape my life to the extent that I can say that I'm happy with life. My wife and I continue to find ways to foster positive emotions, which is the reason for our going deep with philanthropy. Tonight, I want to share with you a few stories of Foundation for Excellence alums who look back at their lives, describe how they are finding ways to be happy with life, while simultaneously finding ways to stay happy in life with their giving. I quote an alum who would prefer to stay anonymous. Quote, "My father worked at a private college as a clerk, and my mother was a housewife, and his monthly salary of 9,000 rupees, Indian rupees, couldn't afford daily expenses. Fortunately, with the help of Ramakrishna Ashram, got introduced to Foundation for Excellence and applied for a scholarship," unquote. There's another alum, Naveen, who's a BTech undergraduate from 2021, who says, quote, "After receiving scholarship, I continued to work on weekends. If not for FFE, I would have worked on weekdays as well to earn money. FFE gave me the freedom for food." I'm going to repeat this. FFE gave me the freedom for food. "I strongly believe that education is a birthright for everyone," unquote. Gaurang, a BTech undergraduate from 2003, now at NVIDIA, says, "I'd started borrowing money from my relatives in initial months, but that was not sustainable for them as well to keep helping me for longer term. I had to manage with extremely tight budget. Thus had to make a lot of compromises. I stayed in a hostel within a temple and started providing seva for subsidized stay, which also got me a free meal once in a day. It was a struggle to have healthy 2 meals a day. FFE funded me for remaining 3 years, which took my worries away completely about major expenses and allowed me to stay focused on my studies," unquote. Akshay, a BTech undergrad from 2020, now at Nutanix, says, by the way, 2 of them were at Nutanix. That's very, very coincidental to have both of them work. I was able to get admission into an IIT, and it is having the most beautiful and planned fee structure. It was giving me a full tuition fee waiver, but still there was some miscellaneous charges like mess fees and other educational expenses like books, summing up to 55,000 Indian rupees per annum. If FFE wouldn't have been there, I'd probably opted for an educational loan. And read this again, opted for an educational loan, which may have delayed all my brother's career aspirations. So there's also side effects of taking these educational loans. I mean, yeah, they're loans, but what does it do to the rest of the family who actually needs to also get to school and get through college, which may have delayed all my brother's career aspirations. Finally, I want to talk about karma. When what goes around comes around. These children are now giving back at such a young age, while they continue to figure out what it means to be happy with life. Many of them have yet to experience immigrating, marrying, founding, and parenting, and yet they are already mindful about what it means to seek happiness in life. Gaurang says, I quote, "Through my own contribution and through spreading word in my circle, I've got 9 engineering students adopted so far and sponsored their 4 years engineering expenses and raised funds for general scholarships. Another proud feeling I get is I could become a kind of a role model being the first engineer in my family. I could help my younger cousins to take up engineering courses and build a great career and lift a family out of financial struggle as well, unquote. Our anonymous alum says, quote, I have contributed monetarily regularly for the past 7 years since I joined my first company, Dell, and currently have adopted a scholar, unquote. Akshay, one of our other alums, says, we were fighting some of the very prevalent social evils in the community like child marriages, child labor, gambling and drinking, domestic violence and superstition, and even trafficking in the name of marriages, unquote. Such maturity at such a young age. They're all seeking happiness, like all of us gathered here. Fortunately, they're beginning to find it sooner than many of us have. To wrap it up, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, one really profound virtue of FFE. They have an immense duty of care. Thank you, Sudha, for really bringing that attention to detail. The way they lead and nurture their relationship with these budding students. Akshay said this to me, FFE trained us with mock interviews for both technology and people interviews, and this gives us a better chance of having confidence at the time of the real placement interviews itself. There's one more thing which helped me sustain my life was FFE even cared for these students during the time of COVID when we had already graduated. It was a very difficult time for my family. The company where I was placed delayed the joining, and FFE came to the rescue by giving us monetary help in that time as well. Honestly, it's very difficult to imagine myself even at half the success I am currently right now without FFE's presence in my life. So much of attention to detail and how it is more than just simply throwing money at the problem. Money is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition for success and for giving. We all urge you to invest your time, perhaps with your own children and parents, to go seek that positive emotion that will bring happiness in your life. Thank you.